Zoo-wee mama, how's it going everybody? I'm here today to talk about the upcoming September season, which we just got more info for from the data mines. Okay, data mine from the recent patch or data mine leak, whatever you want to call it. I went straight to snap.fan, look at what we found out, and we've got more info on these cards, on their abilities, and we've got a new keyword, something that's going to be completely new to how you play Marvel Snap. So let's jump right into it. We are looking at September. It's the Symbiote season. It's all Spider-Man themed. Really cool. It's going to be an amazing season, but let's start looking at these cards. So the season pass card will be Symbiote Spider-Man. Okay, now this is all early data mines. It is subject to change. We will probably see a good amount of change before September comes around. But he's going to be the season pass card, and he has this ability, Activate. Merge your lowest cost card here with this. Copy its text like it just revealed. So this Activate is completely new, and the developer's roadmap recently released did talk about a new keyword or new mechanic to Marvel Snap. So what does Activate mean? That's a great question. We're not sure, okay? Now they did just change Odin in the patch. They changed his wording. Instead of saying to trigger an on-reveal card again, he says activate an on-reveal card again. So is it something you get to choose? You know, can you play Symbiote Spider-Man maybe on turn 4 because he's a 4/6, and then on turn 5 you click him to activate? Or do you need another card to activate him? Something like Odin to trigger him, something like Ghost Spider to move him, or something like Silver Surfer, Nova Killmonger stuff to like add power to him. Okay, Silver Surfer wouldn't work here. But, something to interact with him. We don't know. Okay, we don't know if you can just choose to activate or if another card needs to move it or mess with it somehow. But look at this ability. Merge your lowest cost card here with this. Okay, it's kind of like Hulkbuster, but it's targeted. It is hitting your lowest cost card. That consistency is nice. And it's going to copy its text like it just revealed. So I think that's saying it revealed again. It's weird wording, right? Like it just revealed. Like why are you wording it like that? I'm not sure how that interaction works, but this is going to be really interesting because this is bringing in the new mechanic with the season, and we've got some other cards with this mechanic. It's really going to set the stage, right, for new dynamics in Marvel Snap. I mean, if Activate turns out to be really good, you could have archetypes built around this Activate mechanic. Next up, we've got Silver Sable. She should be in the first week of Spotlights. She is a 1-cost, 1-power card with the on-reveal ability to steal 2 power from the top card of your opponent's deck. Now, this is very similar to Cassandra Nova, who I'm going to be talking about. She comes out next month. You can actually get her for free in Deadpool's Diner. And with Silver Sable, she's doing the same thing. She's stealing, okay? So she's removing power from a card in your opponent's deck, and she's gaining it herself, okay? Cassandra Nova originally was data mined to say drain, but then they changed it, I believe, to say steal. And to steal in 2 power, it's kind of like an anti-America Chavez, right? But if that works, if your opponent ends up playing the card that you stole 2 power from, Silver Sable is essentially a 1/5, okay? She steals something, she's going to be a 1/3, and your opponent's going to play something with 2 less power. So unless there's Luke Cage involved, or your opponent decided not to play the card that you took power from, or if their deck was empty. If you play it like on the last turn, 7-turn game, and they had an empty deck or something. But I think this is really interesting. Maybe you could even play it in like a mill deck. So, their early draws you take some power from, and then their later draws are gone because you milled them, right? Who knows? But I think it's cool. As a 1-cost card, they kind of come and go unless they add huge power like Sunspot or Nebula when they can get really big. They usually don't see that much play. So my initial reaction to Silver Sable is that she might be a little bit on the weaker side, but she's very flexible. You could reasonably put her in like any deck or archetype. So if you like her, you may actually get a good amount of use out of her. Next up, we've got Madame Web, and I sure do hope she is better than the movie because that was horrible. Now, she is a 2-cost, 3-power card with the ongoing ability. You can move one of your other cards away from here, the lane she is at, each turn. Now, this is good, okay? Think about this. She has an ongoing effect that lets you move each turn. We don't have this in the game. Vision can do this, but only for himself. Okay, Vision, you can just choose to move each turn. Silk can move multiple times. We have to play cards on her. Your opponent can play cards on her, right? There's RNG involved. With Madame Web, I mean, it's really interesting. You're basically giving other cards a Vision ability. As long as they're sitting on her lane, they move away, like how you would do with Vision. And, you know, even a card like Hercules, yeah, he moves cards, but you need to move a card into Hercules' lane to then move that card out for him to move it out, right? You need something else to move in. With Madame Web, you don't. She's giving cards that ability. So it's really interesting. I think as a 2/3, this card is going to be good. I mean, that's just a nice stat line. It obviously synergizes with move. You can, you know, move a card in if you have like Craven and Madame Web on the same lane, right? Maybe you move in like Jeff, or you move in a Nightcrawler. And then the next turn, you can choose to move them out to free up space so you can move other cards into Craven's lane, right? Or you have Hercules in a side lane. You choose to move that card out. Hercules pushes it back in. Next turn, you move it out. Hercules pushes it back in again. I mean, cards might just keep going left and right if you have Madame Web and Hercules. So that could be a really strong combo. Madame Web looks like she might be one of the strongest cards, if not the strongest card of the season. Again, it depends on how well this, you know, activate mechanic works, but she looks good, way better than the Madame Web movie, I'll tell you that much. Then we've got Arana, who is a 2-cost, 2-power card with Activate. Give the last card you played plus 2 power and move it to the right. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. She's hitting the last card you played, she's moving that, so it's kind of like a Ghost Spider, but instead of moving the card to where she's at, like Ghost Spider, she's always going to move it to the right, okay? So it's kind of like Iron Fist, moving card to the right, but it's the last card you played. So it has some use there, right? Ghost Spider and Iron Fist, they would see like a little bit of use, but really the positive aspect is that she's giving it plus 2 power, okay? And again, we talked about Madame Web, how that move synergy with like Hercules could go crazy. You just have so many cheap cards to move now. I mean, this card is a 2-cost. Madame Web is a 2-cost. Like, move might legitimately have a ton of good competitive options and multiple, like, sub-archetypes that see competitive play, real play, in the September season. You know, it really is shaping up like they're trying to make move legit. Finally, they've tried before. It hasn't really worked. But these tools are strong and they're cheap. That's so important. You cannot have your move cards be too expensive. That's been the problem with Hercules. He's been too expensive. And so when we have these cheaper cards coming in, move could go big. So this card, I don't think it looks as strong as Madame Web. She looks like she kind of holds down the fort. Like, you might build the archetype kind of around her with like one other move synergy card, like Craven or something. This card I could see adding a bit of value. It's kind of like a 2/4 Ghost Spider, right? And then we've got Scarlet Spider, a 4-cost, 5-power card with the Activate ability. Add an exact clone of this to another location. Now, this could be really good. Okay, Phoenix Force, you try to like get on multiple man, and then you can make a bunch of clones, and they're all really strong. But you have to play multiple man, kill multiple man, and then play Phoenix Force, right? Because multiple man himself, you know, he just didn't have a ton of power. You're going to need something to move him. Scarlet Spider can clone himself. You just need to activate it. And again, how do you activate it? I'm not sure. Do you just click it? Do you just buff it with another card? Do you move it with another card? But it's going to add an exact clone to another location, so it is going to be random. It's not like multiple man where you kind of know where he's going to move and make his clone because it's where he moved from. It's going to be random here, but he already starts at 5 power. I mean, if you just buffed him up a little bit and he was like a 4/6 or 4/7, maybe right on turn 4 or 5, you're already making clones of 6 or 7 power. And you didn't need to play Multi-Man, kill it, and then revive it with Phoenix Force, right? It looks like it's much easier to get going, so it's going to be more consistent than a Phoenix Force deck. You could even hit it with Shuri potentially. Maybe even do like Ravana into turn 3 Shuri, into turn 4 Scarlet Spider. Okay, this card looks exciting. So just off my initial, thoughts, and again, I don't know how the activate mechanic works, I do think that Madame Web and Scarlet Spider have the most potential. Madame Web, especially being a 2/3, is probably going to be awesome. Symbiote Spider-Man could be good, and Arana could be good too, but we have to, kind of see how they play out. But this card and its activate ability, its clones, might be really interesting and really powerful. So those are my initial thoughts on this symbiote season that we're going to have in September. Now, again, the stats of these cards might change a bit. Their abilities might change a bit, but it looks fun. I mean, move decks are fun if they're good, right? Most people don't play move because, yeah, sometimes it's too complicated, but for the most part, they've just been weak and bad, and you don't really want to play bad decks all the time. So if these cards do come in, and if they are pretty strong, and it seems like they synergize with move, and activate may synergize with move specifically, does that make move fun? Will you start playing more move, do you think, in September? Do you think this activate ability is going to be good? Is it something, am I completely wrong? You think it's something completely different than, using another card to move it? Or maybe you can just click it like an on reveal that you choose which turn to make it pop off. I don't know, but I think it's really exciting. So let me know your thoughts on the season, the new activate mechanic, and each of these cards in the comments down below, which ones you are most excited for. And until then, stay positive. I'll see you next time.